This is the 18th season of Bass Talk Live. With your host, Matt Pangrath. BTL is brought to you by Lorraine's, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, and Pro Guide Batteries.
BTL, coming at you!
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing, and we are wrapping up another month. It is the 31st of May, a Tuesday. I always want to say a Monday when you jump in the studio for the first show, but honoring Memorial Day yesterday. Hope everyone had a safe and fun Memorial Day. If you follow the Qualified Captain on Instagram or any of the social media, is always a really good social media weekend for boat ramps. I avoided the boat ramps, as do a lot of bass fishermen on the holiday weekend. So we are back in studio with a very interesting week of BTLs. We have Mlf'S Joe Opager on the show today to talk about something that I gotta give it to the man, Mark Jeffries, in his full retirement. He talked about this. I was trying to find the clip, and it was so far long ago I couldn't find the show. He did a whole manifesto on a team tournament format, and he kind of based it around the bowling with different cities, and he had a draft and all this stuff in it. And I'd heard some rumbling, some things that was going on with General Tire getting involved, and it happening on the BPT side with MLF anglers. And then obviously in March they came out that they'd filmed a kind of a pilot episode. It came out. Then there was a press release that the first episode was available on My Outdoor TV to watch. I need to renew my Outdoor TV subscription, because I literally watched absolutely everything that was on there, all of Zona shows, all of Mercer shows, all the MLF stuff, and then I moved and hadn't resubscribed, but you got one free episode, so I watched it and I said, this is good, this is really good. And it came out at the end of the month, just about a week or two ago. So I called Joe, our good friend Joe Opager from MLF, and said, hey, do you want to come on and talk about this? And said maybe we could get a little double dip, because there's also a very hallowed, revered tournament that is also kicking off this week without as much fanfare as it used to get. I think we also did a show on this. We did a whole feature week of All-American champs. I think I remember we had Stephen Browning on. I think we had Shaw Grigsby on. We've had Sean Goodwin on to talk about what a All-American win meant to them. And this week starts tomorrow. No, it starts in 2 days. It starts June 2nd through 4th on Lake Hamilton. The All-American is kicking off. So we're going to talk to Joe about that. And then in the second half of the show, if you watched any of the NPFL coverage from what is the most popular lake in the country right now, which is Watts Bar, because the BPT guys are headed there this week. But the National Professional Fishing League just wrapped up their third stop of the year, and Patrick Walters, fresh off of his second place finish in the second NPFL in his home state of South Carolina, went and won this one. I think he might have let it wire to wire, but he won, so he's like $70,000 in his two NPFLs. But they hired Brad Hallman to do to little on the water play-by-play, if you watch any of that live coverage. So Brad, and then I talked to Brad on the way home, and he seems like totally regenerated. He's like super excited to get to the second half of the open season, to come out with some new YouTube content. So Brad's at his house, so we will check in with Brad in the second half of the show. But let's get to our man, Joe Opager. How's it going, Joe?
Hey, good, Matt. How are you, brother?
Good. Thanks for jumping on BTL. We always have you on 3-4 times a year when kind of important things are going on in the MLF world, and you've got one thing that is really exciting, and then kind of a tournament, actually two tournaments to cover coming up, but kind of busy for your job coming off a holiday weekend, isn't it? Probably jumping right back into the fray of things with the All-American, the announcement of this General Tire team series, and then the fifth stage of the BPT coming up all in the next couple days.
Yeah, it definitely was a nice little break, but kicks, like you said, it feels like a Monday, but here we go. It's All-American week. So, like stage 5 is kicking off on Saturday, like you said. We announced the team series last week, so there's a lot of excitement going on with that. So there's just, a lot of good things happening with MLF right now.
All right, I want to jump into the team series right off the bat because this is something that has intrigued us at BTL for a long time. Obviously, from what I can figure, the genesis of the quote professional team series event, and we've talked about this especially with the Elite Series that just went down with the Texas Parks and Wildlife there at Lake Fork, and then the involvement of the TTBC that started as a team event. I believe Kelly Jordan, who is a BPT angler, was one of the founders of that back in 2010, 11, something like that, where they had team series where they all like worked together and the guys loved it. Now that morphed into the top 15 from each event, and then it turned into an individual deal. Anyway, but that's where it started. The team concept, you're working with your teammates and you're trying to win a lot of money. And I gotta give MLF this. You guys have not been afraid to try new stuff, and this is something that I think has been on the table, but really cool to see it come to fruition in this pilot. I guess was it a test run? Is what you guys did down on Lake Garcia in Florida?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had our MLF Cup events for 13 years now. 2010, was when Brent Ayler kind of won that very first Cup event. Yep. And it kind of was the foundation of MLF. But after 13 seasons, we were kind of looking for a way to freshen it up a little bit, to add a little bit of excitement for the fans and the anglers as well. So we brainstormed through ideas at the wall and came up with this team series idea. And how it works would be three-man teams on the water, 9 anglers. Competing. Everybody's wearing Bluetooth headsets in constant communication with their teammates, and they go out and just fish a normal MLF Cup style event as a team. So we came up with this idea, came up with some loose rules, and put together this one-off kind of invitational event. And we decided to film a pilot show, and see how it would look. For television purposes, for our sponsors. Is it something that they would be interested and want to be involved in? Because, like I said, those cups were very, very successful. They've been the number one show on Outdoor Channel since we've launched, basically. So even Outdoor Channel was like, why are you messing with this? But that being said, have you had the opportunity to watch that free episode on My Outdoor TV of the?
Absolutely. So I literally got this is you actually did your job very well, Joe. Because here's the deal: I got the press release. I said, this is interesting. I remember you guys talking about it at Red Crest. There was a promo on it. They had Skeet Reese up there talking with Marty and the guys about it. So it was on my radar. Then it came out, hey, you can watch a free episode. So I dial up the free episode. This is no, I'm not kidding. This is what happened. I got 15 minutes in and I said, I got to know more about this. And I called you and booked you for the day after Memorial Day. So it worked flawlessly because of how impressed I was with what I saw in the free episode.
Perfect. Well, no spoilers for the fans and people that haven't watched yet, because it's free, and we expect a lot of people to go watch it after this interview. But did you watch the whole thing? Did you go back and finish the episode and catch the ending? Because that was the best part.
Yeah. So the thing that stuck out with me throughout the entire thing, Joe, was, and this has been pounded into my head at BTL, was entertain, educate, and engage. And that was one of the most educational hour pluses that I have ever watched when it comes to a fishing show. And I'll say this, one of the things that I think you guys have struggled with at MLF is balancing education with fish catches. Sure. The average, to use the term that you guys, the soccer moms, don't really care about the nitty gritties, but the fish catch, the side of the boat, that excitement. So it tends to be fish catch, fish catch, fish catch. What this brought in, and I wasn't expecting it, was the strategy between the 3 anglers that could all talk to each other on the team. Dude, there are so many nuggets of knowledge in there when they're trying to explain to each other what's key, what's not, the hard edges, the soft edges, the moving baits, the slow baits, the punching baits, how the fish are biting, where they're biting, the strategy. Dude, I'm like, this is it. This is the educational combined with the entertainment, because you have the fish catches, but now you've got the three guys talking about how they got to the fish catches.
It was awesome. Just like you said, I mean, I can recall it was the team of Chris Lane, Bobby Lane, and Edwin Evers. And Edwin was, trying to punch and flip and was getting, real-time tips in his ear from Chris on exactly what he needed to be doing. And it's just something that we've never really seen before, in the sport, in a television show like this. So it was a lot of fun. If you haven't seen the episode yet, go to MOTV and check it out. And like you said, we filmed this pilot as kind of the test run, and it's been a home run so far. All the fans, all the feedback that we've seen so far has been extremely positive. General Tire and our sponsors are super excited about it, and the anglers themselves. I mean, if you talk to those 9 guys that competed in that event about, what they thought of it, every one of them were like, oh my God, we got to keep doing this. We got to do more of these, and so, yeah, we kind of just put together the whole concept, and we're rolling it out this fall. We'll be filming events, a 3-event series and a championship. And then the episodes will premiere starting in January. So it's something to look forward to this winter, and it's going to have a lot of people excited, anglers and fans alike.
All right. So is this in place of the cups, or is this in addition to the cups?
Nope, this is in place of the cups. Obviously, the off season, there's only so much time available, especially when we know how much these guys love hunting and deer hunting, and just the downtime with their families as well. So this 4-event series will replace the cups moving forward.
Oh, I guess that's why that's what the word succeed. Like, this series will succeed the current MLF Cup events.
Yes,
I guess that would be the actual definition of that, would kind of replace that. So you qualify for these team events then based on your chunk finishes on the BPT, just like it has been done previously, or does everybody get a chance to compete?
No, everyone's going to be competing in this event. Kind of a fun aspect of it, and we're still kind of slowly leaking out the details, so I'm not ready to spill all the beans yet, but we're actually going to be holding a draft, and it's going to be, we're going to have 27 teams, so we're going to have 27 captains, and those captains are going to select their 2 other teammates later this year, and then we will roll out all that content at majorleaguefishing.com. You'll be able to kind of see the teams before the events. We hope to have some draft content available and some storylines coming out of it. There's so many different possibilities that, could come from that. If you just let your mind go there for a second. I mean, we've got brothers that compete together. We've got, hardcore roommates and cliques that are going. Like, not everybody's going to be able to be on the same team. So there's going to be some interesting dynamics that come from that.
Hold on here. I am pulling up the field for that. So there's going to be a captain somehow that decides, and then he is going to pick 2 additional anglers to be a part of his 3-man team. So like you said, there's going to be all 80
Correct.
plus guys are going to compete.
81 anglers is what we'll need. So it's the 80 Bass Pro Tour anglers are available to be drafted, as well as the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit title champion, Jimmy Washam, this year. He is also in that pool to be selected. So
really?
Those 27 3-man teams will be 81 anglers.
And then will those anglers be on the same team for the duration of the 4 events, which are going to be filmed in September, October, November, and December of next year?
Correct. So each team, 9 teams will compete at each of the qualifying events. So 9 teams will compete at qualifying.
But it doesn't change. Like, once your team is, that's your team for that whole year.
Right. Yep.
Oh, I like that, Joe.
So 9 teams in each event. 3 teams from those events will qualify to the championship, to move on to the championship. So there will be a total of 9 teams competing at the championship as well. And all 9 of those teams will have won their qualifying event to advance to that championship.
You could have like swim jig teams, deep cranking teams, swim bait teams, power fishing teams, West Coast teams, Florida teams, sibling teams. There's all sorts of will the anglers know where the 4 events are prior to the draft?
No, they will not. They know the dates, and that's it. So that's some of the strategy that comes in the draft as well. Do you try to draft a well-balanced team? Do you think, hey, it's, later in the fall, we're probably going to be up north and try to draft, some smallmouth specialists? I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could go with it, and it's just going to be, a lot of fun in the offseason getting some of these storylines coming out. Guys getting picked, guys getting snubbed, guys being the last one picked and getting ticked off and having a chip on their shoulder. There's going to be all sorts of stuff that comes from this, and it's going to be awesome to watch.
Interesting. And you said this info on I got to get the name right. What is the official name of this that I need to make sure I'm referring to this as now?
General Tire Team Series.
Okay. So the General Tire Team Series, there will just be information throughout the year as it gets more and more finalized as to how you're picking captains, how you're doing the draft. Will the draft be live? Like, will we be able to see a live draft? Like, will we be able to get on MLF and watch the draft? You got to do a live draft, Joe. Like, look at you've got 2 Vikings jerseys behind you. What's the most exciting day for a football fan? It's draft day, isn't it?
Draft day is awesome. And I don't know what the plans are yet as far as live streaming, or if we're filming for television broadcast, or doing a social media live stream or what. But there's kind of, like I said, a lot of stuff going on right now. I mean, we don't want to overshadow. The BFL All-American is the 39th installment of it. So, I mean, we kind of got to let that have its own space. And stage 5 is taking place later this week and into next week. I mean, so we've kind of got a lot of things going. But, as the summer trickles down, things start slowing down a little bit. That's when you're going to start to see some of this content rolling out. And we're really excited to kind of pull back the sheets a little bit and show everybody what we've been working on.
You think that there's a potential that this is the way stuff goes more going into the future? Like, I mean, do you think this could eventually end up with points and a championship? Because, I mean, now it's a standalone made-for-TV filmed event. Obviously, I'm sure there's payout. I'm sure there's big, giant trophies and all the glory and prestige that goes with beating all the other teams. But is this? I mean, I'm looking at this saying in the future, if this goes well, there could be potential for legitimate teams, roster transactions, trades. I know when we talked about this concept, and I think it was kind of brought on by bowling, with what bowling did with different teams that have team owners, like NBA players that own. I think Chris Paul owns one of the bowling teams. I don't know if that's still actively going on right now, but could we see like Toby Keith owning the Oklahoma team captained by Edwin Evers, trading for a Jacob Wheeler 3 years from now? And it'd be the Oklahoma Bush Flippers taking on the TVA Aluminums.
I've never really thought about that before, but it's definitely interesting. And like you said, God, can you imagine some of the trades? Like you trade, I don't know, an older angler for like Shaw Grigsby, or, kind of someone on the tail end of their career for, a couple of young rookies that just qualified from the pro circuit or something like that. I mean, there's so many kind of different ways you could go with that. It's definitely fun to speculate about. I was thinking more of, and again, this is not nothing.
We're just chatting here. We're just chatting on a podcast, Joe.
But
this is.
What if we rolled it out to Toyota Series anglers and we did different divisions of this team series? And there's a lot that we could do with this. I mean, 2 years ago, this didn't even exist.
I know. That's why I'm excited about it.
So, yeah, 5 years down the road, who knows what it's going to look like? But certainly fun to speculate about, no doubt. And it's fun that it's different. I mean, guys are not competing against each other now. They're with each other, and their success is based on their teammates' success as well. So it's a lot of fun to watch. I highly recommend checking out the episode on MOTV. It's free.
How do they do that? Anybody can. It's not. I mean, I got it in an email with a link, but if you just want to go watch it for free,
sure,
you can just go to My Outdoors TV, the
myoutdoortv.com. You click on, just go to the MLF Cups page, and it's right there. Actually, I think it's got its own landing page now. The MLF General Tire Team Invitational is what that event is called. And you can log on and just watch that one for free. You don't even have to log on to that one. But that being said, sign up for MOTV. I mean, you get a free month. It's like $5 a month. Like, you get all the MLF content. If you're not a subscriber, you should be. But go check out this episode and let that make your decision for you.
I would love for it, Joe, for at least the captains to know what state the events are in September, October, November, and the championship in December before they draft. I think that would add a massive element. Because like in the NHL, you know, like if you've got like you know, back in the day, if you had to go up against like the Flyers, you saw a bunch of guys that would add tough pieces to their roster before the trade deadline because they knew they had to deal with, like, you know, that whole 7 games against those guys. So it affected. I would love. No, you don't even have to give the fisheries, but I would love to see. Oh, there is one in New York. Oh, there is one in Florida. I think that would add an interesting element to it. But like I said, it's in its infancy. A lot of that was just hypothetical. But for someone who studies it and covers it, man, that's awesome. And then I think that opens up, like I said, we're way down the wormhole on this now, Joe. But then that opens up a whole new realm of betting now, because you've got your betting for teams, and it's not like anyway. Now you've got standings and rosters, and
so the draft hasn't taken place yet, and so that may be the case. You know, maybe the decision is made that we need to tell the anglers, we need to give them a little information. So maybe we do share, you know, states or kind of semi-locations or regions or something like that. But
because that was perfect in this one with Michael Neal in the pilot that I watched. He's like, hey, I hope they're not punching, because if it's punching, we're losing. Yeah, like exactly. That was an interesting dynamic. And then, you know, with the Edwin, Bobby, and Chris Lane, you had Edwin that was like, I mean, he was kind of like the father figure trying to herd cats. You had Bobby and Chris just going at it, and Edwin's like, no, dude, like, I'm here to win. Mm-hmm. And then the Montgomery, Rose, and Thrift, that was interesting because you just got to see different dynamics of how teams strategized and the different personalities complementing or working with or against each other throughout the day with education in there. It was like organic education, which is the hardest thing in this sport. Instead of getting beat over the head with, here's the bait that I was using, or in a post where you don't know. I mean, you're watching the things that they feel important is what they're telling their teammates in real time.
Yep. And you get to see kind of things that we've never seen before. Anglers getting frustrated with other anglers, anglers celebrating and getting super excited with other anglers, and showing some personalities. So it's really cool, and something that we're super excited about, no doubt. Can't wait to roll it out in January.
All right. Awesome. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to get your thoughts on what's going down in the All-American, one of the most hollowed tournaments in the sport. In the press, you know, Shaw Grigsby, Stephen Browning. There's so many guys who got their start. Didn't Jacob Wheeler? Wasn't he the youngest to win the All-American when he was 19 years old?
I think 2011 or 2010. I don't have that in front of me, but yes, he was. I mean,
one of those. But so many guys have gotten their start on this, and definitely wanted to get your thoughts on what's going down in Hot Springs on a tough fishery, Hamilton, tough fishery, but a fair fishery. We've seen a number of cups and championships determined there in the past, but it is BTL on a Tuesday with Mlf'S. Joe Opager. We'll be back right after this.
The time for you to get Active Target Live Sonar is now. Get $200 cash back when you buy Active Target, or $400 back with Active Target and Elite FS9. And change the way you fish. Target fish with Active Target and let Elite FS handle the rest. Active Target is also compatible with HDS Live and HDS Carbon. Active Target by Lowrance.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years.
For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big.
And some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us.
But none of them knew us.
None of them were us. Except for one. Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
AFCO.
AFCO. AFCO.
Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
The KVD 100 jerkbait. 15 different colors. A perfect combination of roll, wiggle, and flash. Increased castability. 3D eyes. Premium black nickel hooks. KVD. Tie one on. Striking lures.
Welcome back, BTL, on a Tuesday, talking with Mlf'S, Joe Opager. And let's shift from the team series that I just barrage you with a bunch of random questions, thoughts, and ideas. I'm serious. I'm excited about this. I like it.
Yeah,
I like the concept. I think it's got some legs, but there's also it's also really hard to do it because there's so many unknowns and different ways that you can go about it.
That's
like
what
it's
we're
not
working
just
on
to
right
show up
now.
and fish.
Before we pull the sheet back, we're working on all those unknowns. So when we do roll it out later this summer, all our ducks are going to be in a row.
I'll have to ask. We got Brad Hallman on after this. After we talk All-American, and I think I'd be very interested to see what his thoughts would be. I couldn't imagine Brad Hallman as a team captain. He would pick just the grimiest guys for his team, like just all 25-pound string flipping, frogging, jig flipping guys on his team. Anyway,
yeah, right. It would be you and Upshaw, and you guys would do very well.
No, he wouldn't. I mean, dude, you have to have some mental tough. You'd have to have like pick a psychologist to go on the team, like as the alternate. And it'd be like me, Upshaw, Hallman, and then Brad would draft like a nation's foremost psychologist who's never even fished, but our team would be set then.
Calm you guys down. Well, Brad did an awesome job this weekend, so I look forward to kind of hearing his thoughts on the team series and seeing what he thinks about it.
Good stuff. Yeah, All-American. What do you got on that? I know it kicks off in a couple days, and it's a fairly small field, isn't it?
Yeah, 49 boaters and 49 co-anglers this year. It's the 39th annual BFL All-American. So one of the longest running championships in the history of the sport. Lots of great names have won this event. You kind of mentioned a couple of them already. Jacob Wheeler, Shaw Grigsby, Rick Clunn, Stephen Browning, Clark Wendland. The list goes on and on. But we're at Lake Hamilton this week. It's the 6th time Hot Springs has hosted this event. 5th time on Lake Hamilton. We've done it once on DeGray Lake over there. But just a great bass fishing community, great fishing. The lake is loaded with fish, not a whole lot of monster big ones, but the guys are really going to catch them, and it's going to be a good event. We're really excited to see how it shakes out, kicking off on Thursday.
What do these guys get now? I know it's kind of changed from back in the day. It used to be like boats and you were on the FLW tour and all sorts of stuff. But what does the All-American champion get this go around?
120 grand to the winner.
Wow.
So it's still a monster payout. Everybody's getting a paycheck throughout the entire field, which is good news. It's being filmed for broadcast later this year on CBS Sports, so they're going to get a lot of television and magazine exposure for these weekend guys who haven't really gotten TV exposure before. So that's always a lot of fun, seeing some of those new personalities come out or some of them kind of stumble as they get to go on TV for their first time. So yeah, it's a good event. Everybody's super excited. Yesterday was the optional practice day. So the majority of the boaters rolled into town and were on the water yesterday. Day off today, and they're with registration meetings starting at 3:30. Then they've got a really nice dinner banquet catered in for them this evening at 5, so they get to have their celebration. Official practice kicks off tomorrow, and then tournament starts on Thursday. So it's a busy week for these guys, but it's a lot of fun. Everybody that I've talked to so far that's down there is just, this is one of the most fun events because everybody's just so incredibly excited. It's not like, all right, this is the 4th event of the season and I've been on the road for the last 2 months. Like, these guys are the weekend guys that this is the highlight of their year. So everybody's so appreciative, super excited. And this is one of the most fun events that we look forward to every single year.
Did I see Laker Howell's fishing in it?
He is, yes. He's as a boater.
That's Randy Howell's kid.
Yep. Randy Howell's son. There's some other big names in there too. Ryan Porosnik, Jacob's brother, is competing in this one. Guys like Mike Brugan from lacrosse has just dominated kind of the BFLs, but has never really had that signature All-American win. I mean, I know he's won multiple regionals and tons of just regular season events. Never won the All-American though, missing the big one. Justin Kimmel is another great angler in this event. I mean, he won.
Oh, he made it again too.
Yeah, well, he won it as a co-angler
that's what I'm saying.
2 years ago, and moved over to the boater side, qualified, and he's competing this year as a boater. So he's another one to watch out for. So a lot of deserving anglers in this one, and going to be exciting.
Just updates on the MLF website.
Yes, yep. So we'll have a live stream each day. The daily coverage. I believe there should be a blog going, kind of with just updates from the day. But the weigh-in starts each day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time, and you can see how it all shakes out.
All right, and then the BPT kicks off at the end of the week on Watts Bar, side of where the TNPFL just concluded.
Yes.
But that looks, based on what we've seen, there's going to be a lot of fish caught in that one.
Definitely. I mean, we kind of saw it over the weekend. It's a healthy fishery, and it's ready to show out. It's kind of been a hidden gem in that area for many years. I mean, the locals have always raved about it. Wesley and John Murray and Andy and Michael and those guys love Watts Bar. But, Chickamauga is king there. That's where we've held many events over the years, excuse me. But, going to Watts Bar this week, it's different. It's exciting. Guys are really going to catch them. And we're going to shine a little bit of a spotlight on this lake that hasn't really gotten a whole lot of love over the past couple of years. But now, in the last couple of weeks, here it is.
Who you got on your bet for Angler of the Year? Because I'm looking at the Angler of the Year list right now, and you've got a really good mix right now headed into the home stretch between are arguably the 3 or 4 hottest guys going on in the world, and then guys who have been at the top of the mountain for a couple of decades.
Right. I mean, it's hard to bet against Wheeler right now. The reigning Bally Bet Angler of the Year, and then of course in second place, right behind him, is the guy that won 2 years ago, Jordan Lee, the Bally Bet Angler of the Year. So as we come into these final, 3 events of the seasons, 5, 6, and 7, and we move north into smallmouth country, whether it's Watts Bar this week, Tennessee River, but then we're going up to Cayuga in New York, and then over to Mille Lacs, just 30 minutes up the road from me right here. So Wheeler catches smallmouth. We've seen it. He's won multiple events there.
Hard to bet against. So does Jordan Lee. Jordan Lee's almost won on Cayuga before. That's where he got second to Kevin.
Yeah, and Kevin is right there as well. I mean, that's what
how does that work points wise? So. Like points wise, does Kevin have a shot with that many with 3 events left? He's got 227.5. He's in 6th place. Wheeler has 300 points. Is that doable, Joe? Or is that going to take some help?
If Wheeler struggles or something happens, I mean, it's a 73-point makeup that he has to get over these these next 3 events.
It's a point of place?
Yep. So winner gets 80 points, second place gets 79, and so on down.
I don't think there's any way Wheeler gives up 73 points in the last 3 events, because that would require him. I mean, that would require I don't think
it would
there's
require Kevin doing really well and
Wheeler doing above average, but I mean, that's going to be tough.
It's not likely to happen, but
dude. It's kind of a
happen.
2-horse race. Because Andy Morgan's back in with 255. It's Wheeler, Lee, Andy Morgan, Jesse Wiggins, Alton Jones Jr., who we had on the show. Really enjoyed having him on the show. KVD, Randall Tharp, Zach Burge, Stephen Browning, Edwin Evers, and Greg Vincent. And Zach has done a lot of it with like no practice going into it either because he's got a crazy schedule. He just shows up and catches them regardless of what he's fishing. But Wheeler and Lee have 300 and 284. Then you have to go back to 255 with Andy Morgan. Now, you would have to assume Andy's going to catch him on Watts Bar. You would also have to assume there's even though he's probably not familiar with it, there's a good chance he's going to catch him at Cayuga. That's a largemouth grass flipping deal. But he's 30 points behind Jordan Lee. And if history is any indication, it's going to come down between Jacob Wheeler and Jordan Lee.
If you were, we've talked about it before, if you were a sports betting guy and Bally Bet was offering some odds on this, Wheeler and Jordan Lee would be the huge favorites right now, but it's not over yet. Like we'll know a lot more, in 10 days after stage 5 is over at Watts Bar. We'll kind of see how it shakes out then, but it's not likely for Wheeler to bomb out and stumble and open the door for guys like Andy and KVD and stuff, but could happen. We'll see.
It's a beautiful thing about sports.
Yeah.
What else you got, Joe?
I don't know, brother.
Did you do anything fun this weekend? Jeffrey's resodded the outside of the studio because there was a gap underneath the entryway. And when I left on Thursday, I opened the door and there was a snake sitting directly in front of the door. And I was on the phone and I had to apologize for what I said to the person I was on the phone with because I took a step out and looked down and there was a snake and I lost it. Rah, rah. Well, then Jeffries says, what's wrong? Because he's in here drilling bowling balls. So we go out the big door. I said, there's a snake. He gets the shovel. He sees the snake. We determine it's not a poisonous snake, but he still, after having to have a heart attack and a fall, doesn't want to walk out and see a snake. Well, the snake goes underneath the patio right out in front of the door to the studio. There's a gap where the cement wasn't. So I'm like, okay, it wasn't poisonous. And Jeffries is like, I'm not leaving it. What if he ends up in the studio? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I think it was a garter snake. So the next thing I know, I'm in here working on the show. I come back out. Jeffries has called the Moore Animal Control. So now we have a uniformed man trying to get a garter snake out from underneath the stoop, which results in pulling all of the patio blocking out, saying, yeah, there could be a den under there. Well, then now it's game over. So now he's going to get lime and lye, whatever you put in there. So I come back in the studio this morning. He has used cement to fill in the gap completely underneath it. Re-sodded, re-bricked, everything is done on his outside patio. Like completely redid it over a garter snake. So that was what he did this past weekend.
Wish I could say I was surprised, but knowing Mark like I do, that's not at all surprising. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of more surprised that he's still around there working over Memorial Weekend. I figured he'd be living the life. Well, first, we haven't seen or heard from him kind of since his departure. I imagine he's looking like, David Letterman after he retired.
He was on Ike Live the other night. He jumped on Ike Live he made a late night appearance on Ike Live 2 nights ago, I believe.
I'll have to go find that. Did he have the big beard and kind of looking just?
No, he's looking good. He was wearing an apron, which was a little odd because he had been drilling some bowling balls, and someone texted me and was like, "Hey, how come you can't get Mark on BTL, but he'll come on Ike Live?" I was like, "That's a good question." But.
Yeah, great question. No, I didn't realize he was on that. I'll have to go back and watch that. I missed Mark Jeffries. The entire bass fishing community misses Mark Jeffries. You've obviously done a great job with the show and kind of carrying the torch. But yeah, Mark.
He's still around.
Yeah, he needs to do some one-off BTL stuff.
All right. Go over to the My Outdoors TV, watch the team event with an open mind. It is different than anything you've ever seen. It takes a couple minutes to get into it. It takes some minutes for the anglers to kind of understand what they're doing. Right. But from an education standpoint, from a news standpoint, like I wouldn't have called and had you on if I thought it sucked, Joe. That's just the honest truth. Like I would have just been like, oh, there's something else they're trying. But give it an honest, fair shake, and you can do it for free. That's the beautiful thing about it. And
if I thought it sucked, I would have declined coming on. I would have been, thanks, but no thanks.
That's your job, though.
No, but it doesn't.
That's your
suck.
job.
That's the good news.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's free. So go watch the show. If you watch the whole thing and don't like it, I'll never bug you about it again. But I promise that won't be the case.
If you watch it and don't like it, email me, matt@basszone.com, and tell me why you don't like it. That's the one thing I like about the BTL listeners. They're very educated. They understand what they're watching and stuff. But watch it, and if you don't like it, I would be interested in what you don't like about it.
Sure.
Because, I mean, is it super, 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 like, streamlined, smooth? No, it's the first time any of these guys have ever done this with stuff in different ears and the first time it's filmed. But, dude, I think it's a 9 out of 10 for the first shot at it.
Sure. And if you have some good constructive feedback or criticism or ideas, we're open to it. I mean, you send it to Matt, like you said. And, Matt, please, if you get any good ideas, pass it along, because this is all new to us too. Like, these events haven't been filmed yet. The draft has not taken place yet. You know, it's kind of still up in the air. So, you know, if you have some really good feedback or ideas, we're open to it. But that being said, it's really awesome as it is. So check it out.
All right, Joe, thanks for jumping on. Busy week for you. Watch the All-American that takes place. And then, boy, there's a lot to watch. You got that episode of the team, the All-American, the BPT kicking off at the end of the week, and the Elite Series. It is a full plate of bass fishing action following Memorial Day. So.
Yep. Everyone had a nice little break, nice weekend off, but let's get back to business, boys.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, that was Joe Opager. He's done a great job there, even since back in the FLW days. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the man, the myth, the legend, Brad Hallman, he called me. It's kind of a weird deal with Brad. Like, sometimes I'll talk to him every day for like 2 or 3 months, and then I'll go like a couple weeks or a month without talking to him. And sometimes he's like, I got to do this. I'm way behind. But every once in a while he'll call, and I can tell if he's in a good mood because he calls me Grasshopper if he's in a good mood. And if he's not, he's just like, yeah. But he was like, what are you doing, Grasshopper? And I could tell he was in a good mood coming off of doing some on-the-water coverage for the NPFL there on Watts Bar. And he is like rejuvenated, ready to go, can't wait to get back on the water, is all positive. He's like, man, there's some top 10s coming in the opens for our house, I think. I think we've got great positive energy going forward. Super pumped about what he saw with the NPFL. So I was like, man, why don't you come on and talk about it? So we'll get Brad on right after this. BTL on a Tuesday.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? Well, the Bass Tank is here to help you. The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
Welcome back, BTL, on a Tuesday. Now it's time to go to the man. I think I saw him like hanging out by the pool after he got back from NPFL coverage on Watts Bar. There he is right there in the studio, in the office.
And my phone's ringing already. Like, I turned it on. Hold on.
Well, you're a busy guy, Brad.
Well, I've been backstage watching you and Joe for a while, and I hadn't made a noise. You know how life works. And then the second it goes live to you, let's start ringing.
Did you hear anything about the team event that we were talking about?
Yeah,
dude, it surprises me. There's like a bunch of guys that are like, "Oh, here's just another thing of MLF trying to do something, blah blah blah." Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to watch that. Do you?
So, like, dude, you got to give them street cred for trying new things. I mean, the industry's got to grow, and things have got to change to make it grow. You can't continue to do the same thing over and over. This team aspect idea has been out there for quite a while amongst some of the pro anglers that have been in this business for a long time. Dude, from a business side, right? And I don't know if you and Joe talked about this because I did jump on a little bit late, but from a business point of view, it's a way to sell some pretty big non-endemic partnerships if this thing works for them. I mean, you could put this into, I think you and I've talked about this a little bit over the years, Matt, but like you could sell teams to Home Depot, right? You could sell teams to Coca-Cola. It would be easier to sell a large non-endemic to a team of anglers than it is an individual angler, right? But I think it's a great idea. I think it's very interesting. Joe was talking about some ideas. Dude, I think your idea of the draft is huge. I think that you got to grab that bull by the horns and make that a live production because the draft is a big deal. And seeing guys get picked and pulled off the board and put in. But, dude, do you think they could do I know this is crazy, but can you imagine a true YouTuber team? Lojo kicking their bass, Milliken. Can you see that?
It would be interesting. And they did that this year. I mean, the 3 teams that they did with the 9 guys was Team Ferguson, Team Squincher, and Team Lucas Oil. And, they had like kind of matching colored hats and jerseys and stuff. So you could tell them apart. But I remember when Jeffries did like a whole show on this, and they, like I said, they did this in like bowling, and they did the draft in bowling, but they tried to regionalize it for like teams, right? So like you had your home base, so it'd be like you're a diehard Sooners fan, they would have like a team in Oklahoma, and it wouldn't necessarily be made up of Oklahoma guys, but it would be a team that you would have like a rooting interest in, as opposed to just 4 random guys that you're watching fishing. Because I think a lot of guys watch the Elite Series to watch Jason Christie or Tommy Biffle or Edwin Evers or Luke Palmer or James Elam or, any of those guys, Zach Burge from Oklahoma, because of that kind of roots, you're representing that. And I think if you could somehow get those teams to where they were kind of regionalized, like I said, way down the road here. And then think about the content that is, if you've got 6 guys on a team and you're only fishing 4, now you could almost maybe bring a coach back in to where you see a Denny Brower come in, and he's not a fisherman, but he's coaching it, and he's saying, he's putting Brent Ayler on the bench.
Right.
He's putting different guys in based on, you could have Hank Parker, Roland Martin. Think about the guys you could get back involved in the sport from the coaching standpoint, and then obviously have some player coaches, like an Edwin or Kevin or something like that. But dude, the possibilities are endless with this.
It is, and like I say, it's an idea that's been getting kicked around for a while, so it's not something that's just come out of the blue. And it's a great idea to try something and change, what we've been doing. Like I say, you got to give them street cred for trying. But I do think your idea with the draft is a big deal, and it's a good way to kick it off and draw interest to it as well.
But if you've got 9 team captains and they have 4 events that aren't going to take place, I think it was October, November, December, and a championship. If you're a team captain drafting, don't you have to know somewhat where those events are before you draft your team? Like, doesn't that make more sense? Doesn't that add the element of skill involved? Like, if you know there's going to be one in Tennessee or one in, well, obviously based on the time of the year, they won't probably be up in New York, but doesn't that kind of give you a blueprint as to, do you draft guys who are fishing really well right now, or if you know there's going to be an event in Texas, are you more likely to go after Todd Faircloth or a Gary Klein?
Yeah. I get your point. I guess it depends on the strategy size of are they going to try to do it with the least amount of information given to the guys as possible, which is kind of the MO that they've been running off of. I know most of the pro anglers that are over there, most of the pro anglers everywhere on all circuits, kind of like the least amount of information gathering as possible, and kind of being dumped on the place.
Just the state that each event is in. That's all I'm asking for. Because most likely that time of year, you're going to have Florida, Tennessee.
And there's very few places that you could guess where that is, right?
Yeah.
Because there's multiple locations in each state. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that would be good. There's strategy either way because, I mean, if you don't have a clue where you're going, then obviously the strategy is going to be to get the most versatile limit catchers, the guys that consistently, the AOY points guys. Whereas if you know the states or if you knew the lakes, then you can start trying to hit home runs and grand slams. So, I mean, there's strategy either way, but both are interesting. And I think that the aspect of the draft is what makes that interesting and then follow it all out. I think it was a great idea you had.
5 years from now, are we talking about teams? 5 years from now, is this something that
for the sake of
what do you think?
For the sake of professional fishing and anglers being able to make a living at it, yeah, you want to see it in 5 years, yeah.
I'd be interested. You just got back from the National Professional Fishing League, the third stop of the year, won by Patrick Wall. He led it wire to wire, didn't he?
He did.
On Watts Bar. Kind of, what is this, the second or third time that you've been involved? I know you've been in studio for one of them, and then you were on location on the water with Luke and Fat Cat in studio, so you kind of did all the on-the-water stuff for him in your signature. What is that shirt that you wear now for the NPFL? That's like your new...
They're just Hawaiian shirts that AFCO makes, AFCO's got some pretty good Hawaiian shirts.
You can buy those on AFCO. Really?
Absolutely. Yeah, those are AFCOs.
I need to go through the website better on the next order.
Yeah. Well, I already like them anyway, so I've kind of always been an old man at heart anyway. Actually, my wife had this uncle, and his name was JT. He lived up at Grand Lake, and when I was young, that's where I used to stay all the time when I spent a lot of time up there. And he owned a jewelry store, and he always said that like he lived this lake life because he lived up there at Grand Lake. And so he went to work in Hawaiian shirts, shorts, and sandals every day in Grove, Oklahoma. And I always thought, he was in his 60s, and I always thought, when I get a little bit older, that's what I'm going to do, because the old man pulls off being cool pretty good. And so I don't know. I'm getting a little bit older. I'm definitely not close to 60 yet, but I'm old enough with enough kids that I feel like I can pull off the old man Hawaiian shirt. But yeah, they're AFCOs.
You've been around the NPFL guys for a while now. They did a reboot this year. It looks like things are rolling. Numbers-wise are staying up. They got a couple of elite series guys and pro circuit guys who went over there. Obviously, Patrick Walters got second in the last one on Hartwell, first this time. But kind of your overall thoughts of the event on Watts Bar and what's going on over on the NPFL, and for those 100+ anglers that are that's where they're hanging their hat this year.
First of all, I had a great time. I mean, I enjoyed it thoroughly. It's the first time I've ever done any type of coverage like that on the water. Like you said, last year I filled in once. I'm kind of a pinch hitter over there. Dudley had a confrontation in the scheduling last year, and then James Worldwide Watson had a conflict in the schedule this year. So with the MLF coming there, following up on Watts Bar right after us, so he couldn't do it. So I'm kind of a pinch hitter, but dude, I enjoyed it. Like seriously. Was actually surprised how much I got into it. It was crazy, some of the things. I called anglers before I left when I was driving there because they were pretty much wrapping up practice. And, dude, I called like 7 or 8 guys. And, it's just different than being an angler on the water, because hearing all their opinions and their different sides of how they were going to catch them, something that you've done for a long time, Matt, honestly. It's what you used to do when you travel with Harold. And I had never seen that aspect of it and how different opinions were. And I mean, dude, they would be like, there's no fish up shallow. One guy would think that. And then the other guy would be like, there's no fish out deep. Everything's shallow. And, but it was interesting seeing that part of it. The NPFL guys are, for the most part, a different group of guys than what I've traveled with through the years or competed against. And the aspect of, man, those guys all get along really well. I'm talking about the anglers. Amongst themselves, they're a pretty tight-knit little group, and there's a lot of positive energy. They don't get upset by much. Things are kind of rolling and smoothed out from when they very first started. I'm sure there was more hiccups then, but they're in their second season, and most of those guys that are there were there last year. They've got a smile on their face most of the time. Obviously when they have struggles on the water, some of them coming through the weigh-in lines, I spoke with every one of them every day, or tried to. And, they're just like us, just like you and I both. After a rough day on the water, it's hard to put a smile on your face. But they come back with a good attitude. That tournament staff goes above and beyond anything that I've
So you were telling me they were doing like every morning at launch and stuff?
So there were some difficulties with the ramp and the parking and stuff. It was just built right before we arrived there. And in Spring City. So, there's never been, that I know of, that I can remember, a large event, much larger than a BFL. They've obviously had BFLs there, but there hasn't been even a regional level event on Watts Bar that I can think of in
like
25
BFLs.
years. Yeah, BFLs. And there's not anywhere to hold one is primarily the situation. But Spring City is, they're just up from Dayton. So it's just up past the lock at Chickamauga. So it's the one lake up, for you guys that don't know. And they've seen the success that Dayton has had. And quite honestly, Watts Bar is a fine pond. It is. I know it didn't show it this week because of the post spawn, but it is. It's a good one. A matter of fact, there's been long periods that Watts Bar was better than Chick. And Chick has added see that phone again. Golly. Chick has added the Florida strain, which Watts Bar has recently as well, but Chick's had them in there for a while and it's really boomed, and Chick's really doing well. So they're trying to copy that image, which, hey man, I'm all for it. And all 4 new lakes after traveling the country for many years, you do get tired of going. I mean, as much as you love Gunnersville and Grand Lake, they do kind of get old. And so having new ponds added to these resumes of our tournament schedules is refreshing to all of us. But yeah, they do. They go above and beyond, man. So what I was talking about was the ramp was a little bit of a tough pickle, and they just took the reins. And so these guys, a lot of them traveling by themselves, they did valet parking basically. So you got in the line in the morning, and when you got down within 2 trucks of being next to the ramp, there was someone from the staff jumping in your truck. You got in your boat and they put you in. They pulled out and went and parked your vehicle. And then they had this big board where they hung all the keys, and they had every set of keys numbered depending on what boat number you were in takeoff. And then when you came in the evening, after you went through your little check-in, and turned in your fob, your trailer was back down in the water, and all you had to do was put on a trailer. And then they carried you they just drove you straight up to the drive-through weigh-in. So really helped, move that along and really went above and beyond. And I know a couple of times the wind was blowing pretty hard. I think the board got dumped over by the wind. I think too, maybe even 3 times, if you can imagine,
where the keys went.
25 set of keys laying in a gravel parking lot. It was frustrating for them, I'm sure, to say the least.
So I guess this would be the first, tournament from start to finish that you've covered on the water. You're on the cover watching these guys. Mm-hmm. You mentioned you talked to them. I'm very interested to see your thoughts on this. You talk to them off the water. You analyze what's going on. You're working with the studio. You're doing it all. You've got a guy like Patrick Walters, a proven an Elite Series champion. He's out of South Carolina, and his pedigree from college to the Elite Series has been absolutely incredible. And he didn't win by a lot, a couple pounds over right. Sheldon Collins and Pud right. Clements, Matt Massey, Ryan Satterfield in the top 5. But what are some of the things that you've noticed covering an event, not from a competitor, but from the media side of this now, that make a guy like Patrick top of the heap?
I don't know that covering it, I felt like that he was top of the heap. He definitely was top of the heap that week. He had a lot of competition pushing him. We would go into that event and knowing Patty's Wall's resume, he's a gorilla that you're going to have to deal with. It was in his wheelhouse, dude. It really wasn't any different than any other tournament. He was able to use forward-facing sonar, and he is one of the top 5 in the world with it, and he's proven that time and time again, whether it's at Lake Fork or at Hartwell. That's his wheelhouse, dude, and this tournament turned into one that was in his wheelhouse. If the shad spawn had been stronger, Pug Clements is nasty. I mean, downright nasty with that rod in his hand on docks, dude. He's got a backhand roll cast that I promise you, I've always struggled left-handed trying to skip. So it's boat positioning type deal. And if you're going to roll from right to left fishing docks, meaning, I don't know, the starboard side of the boat is facing the dock, which is the driver's side, you have to throw left-handed. He has a backhanded roll cast from the right that he can skip a white jig with. It is dirty, dude. It's dirty. Yeah. It's dirty. And I promise you, 6 months from now, I mean, I'm going to the lake and I will do nothing.
You don't have it right now with the LBJ?
No, not like that. I can get some of the same angles that he's getting, but I have to do a different motion. I basically take a pitch underhand that way. But he's able to I can't get enough momentum to skip as far as he can skip. He can get as much momentum with a backhand as you can with a forward hand. If you think about it, kind of like hitting a tennis ball, holding a tennis racket. Anyway, point being,
highly impressed with Pug.
Highly impressed with a lot of them, and Patrick Walters as well. One thing Patrick's really got is he's got a lot of confidence. He's been there, he's done that. I think he led going into the event before this, going into the last day when they were at, help me out, I've gone blank, Hartwell. And that's his home lake. And I think there was some redemption built up in him, to where when he had the lead going into this one the last day, he definitely, you could tell looking in his eyes that he wanted to finish this one. And he did. And he did. Whereas some of the other anglers, Matt Massey's a great friend of mine, had a giant bag, had a 7-pounder, 19 pounds on day 2. And dude, I'm sure that was a lot of pressure for Matt. I haven't spoken with him at length since the event, but he's such a cool, laid-back guy. You wouldn't notice it watching on camera, but that had to be a lot of pressure for him to try to repeat what he had done on day 2, because that was a huge accomplishment. But just overall, dude, had a great time, and that group and organizations really got it going.
You gonna do any more of these this year?
No, like I say, I'm the pinch hitter. I got that one because, like I say, my buddy James had the conflict with the MLF coming there, so they were on their no information rules. So we knew a year ahead of time, or when it was all put down, that was going to be the case. Same way last year, we knew that Dudley knew that he had a conflict, and so I was scheduled months ahead of time.
I mentioned this before I had you on. You're like fired up, man. Like I haven't seen you this like rejuvenated and excited to hit the water and do stuff in you kind of get that way at the beginning of every year, it seems, but dude, 9 tournaments, family, 4 kids, traveling around. I mean, it gets you, but it seems like you maybe have hit like a little mid-season rejuvenation.
I don't know. Watching those guys and not competing and being able to visit and see and watch and hear about the different strategies was really cool. And, it was a tough event because it was straight on post spawn. I mean, it was textbook. That's why some of the guys thought there weren't fish shallow and some of the guys thought there weren't fish deep. The answer was that there was fish in both, but there wasn't a lot of fish in any of it. And they were just scattered, right? And I don't know, watching them just got me fired up, dude. Like I really got into it. I caught some of their, energy, because there's so much young, enthusiastic energy over there. I really caught some of it.
What's the average age, would you say? Are there a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds?
Not necessarily. When I say young energy, there's a lot of guys over 40. The way that tournament schedule is set up, it is set up for guys that work for a living, that own companies, businesses,
one a month,
that still want to play at a high level and sit at a, you know, I've always called it sitting at the poker table, right? So it's what casino you want to get into, but you know, they want to sit at a high level game and play for high stakes. And the way the schedule's set up, it's one tournament a month basically. So it's set up more for a guy so where you don't have the back-to-backs and you don't have the grind as much in a short condensed season where you're done by August. They fish all the way into the fall. I believe their last event is in like November, I believe, in Florida. So there's a lot of guys there, a lot older. And it's a lot of guys that we've seen, like All-American that's going on this week that Joe was talking about. There's a lot of guys that have played in that most of their life and worked and held down a job and a career and a household and wife and kids. And this circuit has given them the opportunity, basically just with the scheduling, to allow them to do this.
You doing more YouTube stuff though? You called me, you're like, I got all these great ideas.
I do.
That's what you said. You're like, I can't wait to get back and film. And I had not heard that in a while from you.
So while I was there, there's two twin brothers there working for MLF, Travis and Tanner. And man, they're just so good and so easy to work with. Actually, I have a phone call scheduled. As soon as we get done with this, we're going to visit about some stuff. But yeah, I do. I've got some new ideas and I'm excited about it. You know, it opened my eyes, you know, trying to do new things as well, right? Just like we were talking about. You can't stay the same and keep doing the same stuff. So just trying new things and see what works. But I am excited about it, yes.
I like it. And continuing our pattern of always dressing the same if we don't make sure we're...
God, did we do it again today?
Yeah, we both have the Big Bite shirt on.
Well, I knew you couldn't pull off this hat. So
yeah, what is that hat? I can't.
Let me try to get it. It's a Coastal Conservation Association. It's also an AFCO hat, but yeah.
I like it.
I knew when I was looking at hats, I was like, how can I not make sure that I'm wearing the same shirt as Matthew? And that's how I'm
going with the Coastal Conservation.
Yeah, that hat that you're wearing is the one that I probably would have picked this morning if I'd have been picking. I love that hat.
It's got, well, it's the 412, but it's got a little bit of stretch in it.
Yeah,
it's the 412 like plus or something, and it's got a little bit of stretch. It fits right. What else is going on? You fishing any of the so here's the deal that I'm running into, Brad. I wanted to get your take on this. You know, I've been trying to keep the BTL studio under wraps. I told you my big life purchase over the Memorial Day weekend. I bought me a
lawnmower,
used one.
Yeah.
Used John Deere lawnmower. So I mowed the yard, working on trying to get the house in order, working on iCast, working on sponsor stuff. And I'm getting on and I'm seeing like everyone fishing Tuesday nighters and Wednesday nighters and Thursday nighters. And that's always been a big part of my life and your life too, growing up, are those weeknight jackpots. But when you have that month and a half and 2 months in between tournaments, like right now, my boat is being used as like a storage deal in the garage because I put it in the garage. And I'm like, man, I'm losing it because if you don't use it, you lose it. And I'm seeing these guys that are fishing the opens and stuff all across Oakland. They're fishing Tuesday nighters and Wednesday nighters and Thursday nighters. And I'm starting to feel bad about it. It's different. You know, I fished with DeGraff and Reed, hopped in the boat with him. I fished with Tyler Dennis, hopped in the boat with him. But it's different when you're in the back, like, you know, just hopping in with a handful of baits and when you're going through the motions over and over again. I need to get back into that during the month of June before we go to Oneida. I think reps is big. And I'm seeing all these guys get better and better. And like I said, we're in different aspects, but are you a big believer in that too?
I am. I mean, it does work, but you know, that's a tough cat to skin because like that you're running in the same problem that everybody across the country, whether they fish team tournaments or whatever, responsibilities and more responsibilities, which I'm not saying you didn't have any responsibilities up in your life till now, but now you've got, starting this year, you put a mountain on your back, you know, and you've got a lot of weight up there on your shoulders that you're trying to carry, and you're trying to carry it for the first year too, you know, with all these shows and Mark not being there. And I know he's there, but you know what I mean? He's not there. It's a lot, dude, and you've done a really good job with it. But
the on the water reps,
you're having to make
just a Wednesday nighter.
Listen, dude, it makes sacrifices in your life. I mean, children do the same thing. I mean, at some point, am I going to a Wednesday nighter, or am I taking my 7-year-old, my 9-year-old out here to the pond to catch some bluegill? And yeah, there's guys learning more about T-bird on Wednesday night, and maybe they learn a little trick or something that you could use in the opens later that you're not learning. But all I can tell you is that, you know, with responsibility comes sacrifices to other things. And
I hear that. But decision making, you don't think just little tournament decision making is important?
Yep.
See, right there.
17-year-old. See, right there, 17-year-old.
Decision making.
Yeah, she's come here. What are you telling me? Come here. Get on. Since you're going to come in here and do this, get on camera.
You were on. Oh, you were on Andrew. You were on Andrew's channel from the Smashing Pumpkins. So now you've been on Andrew's channel, and now you've been on BTL.
Yep. Yep. Where are you?
This is your daughter who designed the BFE, correct?
This is. Yeah, she can't hear you, but you can hear her because the microphone's here. But yeah, this is the one that helped design the BFE for sure. She's the one that drew it.
I'm Kenzie.
Yeah.
But anyway, she's headed off to horses.
All right.
And have her day, so we'll let her.
We'll let you go. We're wrapped it up. Like I said, I just wanted to get you on to get your thoughts on the NPFL. So.
Yeah,
Is that
great
a dog
time.
or a cat?
Those are
No,
great
there's the
dudes.
dog. That's a new dog. I haven't seen that dog.
Dude,
before.
when it opens, the dogs, the kids, I even saw the 6-year-old sticking her head in here. So, and I told the 6-year-old and the 9-year-old, hey, I got BTL here in a minute, don't come in. But then the 17-year-old didn't get that memo. So, anyway, yeah, Matthew, I do. I think that it's just the grasshopper with more weight on your shoulders, dude. But you're doing a good job with it, bud.
I'm excited for you too, because you're coming off a good event, and like I said, we're gonna get things kicked off here in another month. But I'd have never guessed, even 3 years ago, if someone was like, "Hey, do you want to do on the water coverage and be live and blah blah blah?" You'd be like, "No, it's not me." But you did a great job with it.
I told you that I owe a lot of that to you and Matt and Mark, just for dragging me in the studio years ago, and. I don't know. It was kind of one of those things that at 47, you look and you're like, wow, maybe I am decent at that, But it kind of surprises me. Honestly, being open, and I'm not throwing shade on anybody, but probably somewhere around 2006 or so when I started fishing the Elite Series, the camera crews and the videos and the people there, they didn't really want guys with a Southern accent. They want to focus on something that's different than what their majority of their field is. And why that is, I don't know. Maybe that was ESPN. I don't know. But it probably lowered my confidence quite a bit. And I still kind of have confidence issues on talking in front of a camera. It doesn't come natural. It's not something that I aspire to do, And I struggle with YouTube on it too, because I just don't like turning on a camera and talking to it. I feel kind of like an idiot.
I do
but too. I do. I feel like an idiot.
I do too.
And
yourself,
you're walking around on camera and you're talking to it. But I do understand from a viewer standpoint, because I've watched all this stuff, that you've got to enjoy it some to make it worthwhile watching. If you're not enjoying it when you're making it, it shows on camera. And I don't know. It's something new, like I say, and I enjoy doing it. And I don't know.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We got to get together at some point and go fish before the next month, before we head up to Oneida.
I'm about to head. I think tomorrow morning we get on a plane and taking the family vacay right off the bat. Since kids, they just finished school last week.
Never stops for you. Never stops. You are always on the go.
I know it. And we're talking about moving this summer back to Normal, Oklahoma. So if that happens,
you got to take that office with you though, because that's a good spread with the trophies behind you.
Yeah. We'll figure that out when we cross that bridge.
All right, Brad. Well, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for jumping on BTL, giving a little rundown of the third TN PFL stop on Watts Bar and kind of what's going on in your life. And we got to get you in studio after vacation. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds wonderful, dude.
All right. There it is. That was Brad Hallman. We are going to take the final break of the day, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of West Coast action. I got a message from the man that makes things happen, Billy Egan from One Bass, who is going to be on the show tomorrow, talking and kind of describing a little about the major announcement that came back a couple weeks ago. So it's BTL on a Tuesday. We'll be back after this.
Vibrating jigs are a great choice for any time of year, and the Kamikaze Swim-On is a perfect match for any vibrating jig. 2 sizes and the unique tail design gives it a bait fish profile and a great swimming action for realism. There are 17 colors. See them all at bigbitebaits.com.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look. That matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Combining one of the most popular hook styles with Gamakatsu's beefier Superline offering, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend delivers the strength necessary to target big fish in heavy cover. Well suited for braided line and heavier fluorocarbon, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend is built using stronger Superline wire that allows anglers to easily fish a finesse worm around heavy cover. The round bend offers a larger bite area, perfect for any worm presentation, while increasing your hookup ratios. The newly enhanced Z-Bend holds your plastics on the hook longer, reducing the number of pull-offs and reducing damage to plastics. Available in 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, and 5/0, this is the most durable worm hook, designed for heavier lines that hold your bait on longer.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
The new Android series is the peak of the Denali lineup and offers the ultimate Denali experience. The Android series features 36-ton multi-directional graphite combined with interlock blank technology for added strength. Each rod is outfitted with Royal titanium guides that will not fail. The blank is fitted into an easy-touch, soft-feel EVA foam grip with exposed blank reel seat. This all allows the Android to transmit every movement of your bait and even the most subtle bites. The Android series is the finest rod Denali has ever made and offers an angler the ultimate fishing experience with a limited lifetime warranty. See the full lineup of Android rods at denalirods.com.
Welcome back, closing things out here, BTL on a Tuesday after a holiday weekend. Hope everybody had a safe time on Memorial Day. Remember the true meaning of Memorial Day. I saw a lot of great posts about it in the social media. One, the Latimer post with his little deal on like, hey, how to basically stay safe and be a good steward of the water as bass anglers who are out there more than the majority of people and who understand launch ramps and how things work. And then two, a lot of people posted about the true meaning behind Memorial Day. Good stuff there. Tomorrow on the show, we have the man who makes things happen, Billy Egan of One Bass, announcing after 39 U.S. Opens on Lake Mead. Talk about the list of winners there. A lot of historic, legendary stories from Lake Mead between the Cliff Perch and Byron Velvix, Rick Cluns, Aaron Martins. A lot of crazy stuff. Like I said, I only experienced it once, and it's still on my bucket list to go back. I know I talk with Brad all the time. Man, we need to go out there and fish it as soon as the schedule kind of works into it. But after 39 years, they announced that the U.S. Open, after historically low level of waters on Lake Mead, is moving to Lake Mojave. in 2022. So we'll have Billy Egan to come on and talk about that, and also what else is going on out on the West Coast and how that kind of changes or doesn't change things for the U.S. Open. And then on Thursday, we are back with another day 4 with Frank Scalish. So mentioned it a couple times during the show today. A lot of action going on this week. You have the Elite Series on Pickwick, which is interesting because the current Angler of the Year leader, Brandon Polinick, is also awaiting the birth of his first child. He said on the show when we had him on last week that there's a tournament almost every week. There's only the birth of your first child once. So he is bouncing if the moment comes. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays in the Angler of the Year standings. Not as important as life, children, or family, but still, it's a show about fishing, so that's what we cover. So I figured I'd bring that up. Also, the BPT taking place on Watts Bar immediately after the NPFL was over. It seemed like there were a lot of small fish on Watts Bar that were caught, a lot of 6-7 pound limits. I'm interested to see where the line is that the BPT sets it out, whether they'll do 2 pounds. I would suspect they might do a 1/8 limit for their 5th stop of the year. And then also the All-American on Lake Hamilton out of Hot Springs, Arkansas. So that's all we have for BTL on a Tuesday. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys tomorrow.